Picture this. You've just been handed the most bizarre detective case of your life. But we aren't looking at a crime scene in just one city. No, the scene of the crime is the entire world. And the victims? They aren't real people. They're the heroes of the absolute oldest stories ever told by humanity. Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving headfirst into a massive global mystery. We're going to uncover how those ancient fairy tales we all grew up with actually share a secret, hidden structural DNA. It's literally a pre-programmed narrative matrix that controls their every single move. So, let's start the investigation. Now here is where things get really weird. Why did the exact same bizarre crimes and magical disappearances keep happening across completely isolated cultures? I mean, we're talking about identical, hyper-specific details showing up in the Arabian Nights in Baghdad, and then, boom, those exact same details pop up in folklore from Romania, from Germany, and even all the way over in Chile. Seriously, think about that for a second. Storytellers who never met, who lived centuries apart and didn't even speak the same language, somehow agreed on the exact same strict rules of magic and mystery. There is just no way that's a coincidence. Just listen to these scenes and tell me this isn't incredibly eerie. A young man is sewn up inside the rotting carcass of a dead horse and just left to die on a golden mountain in the middle of nowhere. Or how about this? A magical blue bird flies to his lover's window only to be brutally sliced open by broken glass set up as a deadly trap. Or husbands and wives with magical powers who just vanish in the blink of an eye, leaving their human partners completely destroyed. Again, this isn't some random chance, and it's definitely not ancient telepathy. There is something fundamentally structural connecting every single one of these plots. Okay, let's dive into this. To actually solve this mystery, we have to look at the hard academic data. Dr. Sura M. Craze did a deep dive into the Arabian Nights. But she didn't just read them as fun bedtime stories. She analyzed them like raw data. And by applying strict critical methods, she revealed that these tales are hiding a highly structured system. It's a vast web of forms and meanings that obey almost mathematical rules. Her research basically proved that this underlying code is the master key to understanding how human storytelling actually functions. So the main tool we're using to crack this code is called structuralism. Now, what is that? Well, structuralism doesn't really care about what a single isolated story means. Instead, it zooms way out. It analyzes dozens of texts to find the general laws and the hidden, coherent system that actually produced them. So those magical stories we love, they aren't random at all. Every spell, every monster, every plot twist is built on a rigid matrix that dictates exactly what happens next. It's literally like an architect looking at the steel blueprint of a skyscraper rather than just the paint on the walls. And this brilliantly illustrates exactly what we're talking about. To map out this global matrix, scholars created an incredible indexing system called the Arne-Thompson-Uther classification, or ATU for short. Basically, it's the periodic table of global folklore. For example, look at the tale of Hassan of Basra. It's slotted right there under ATU 400. And guess what else is in that exact same slot? The Swan Maiden tale from Romania. Or take the Greek story of the Golden Crab. Structurally, it is an absolutely perfect match for the German singing lark under ATU 425. We are looking at a universal, highly indexed narrative code. Every story is just running its own specific software program. Let's look at one of the more horrifying examples of this. ATU 936, also known as the Golden Mountain Trap. So in this recurring structural loop, you have a poor kid who gets hired by a rich, shady stranger, usually a sorcerer. The sorcerer takes him to a remote mountain and, gruesomely, sews the kid inside the skin of a dead animal. Why? Because giant birds of prey will mistake him for carrion and carry him all the way up to the mountain peak. Once he's up there... So how does this help us understand the magic itself? For that, we turn to theorist Tsvetan Todorov and his concept of the fantastic. Todorov essentially deconstructs magic to prove that it isn't just random chaos. All those shape-shifting entities and all-powerful jinns, they are bound by incredibly strict narrative laws. Magic in these stories isn't just for show. It's a specific tool. Its entire function is to exercise power over human destiny and force the hero toward a structural inevitability that they absolutely cannot escape. The magic across this global matrix follows some very specific rules. First, you've got metamorphoses, like a jinn suddenly turning into a lion or a bird. Second, you have supernatural beings, like sorcerers' princesses who hold the ultimate power to either completely destroy or save their human lovers. And third, you've got instrumental marvels, things like flying carpets or mechanical wonders. And what's absolutely mind-blowing here is that these exact same rules apply flawlessly whether you're reading a Persian epic, a Greek myth, or an old Italian fable. The underlying mold is identical. It's just the window dressing that changes. Let's put two of these side by side because it brilliantly reveals this structural symmetry between animal brides and animal grooms. On one hand, we have Hassan of Basra under ATU 400. His Jinn princess wife turns into a bird and flies off to the legendary Wak Wak Islands, leaving him completely devastated. But then look at the bird prince under ATU 432. Here, a cursed French prince in bird form is horribly injured by broken glass that his lover's sisters planted. In both of these cases, the underlying structural function is exactly the same. The magical partner is forced to leave because of a betrayal or a rule broken in the human world. It is undeniable proof of structuralism at work. Now, if that wasn't wild enough, let me introduce you to Vladimir Prop. Prop discovered something that kind of turns everything we know about storytelling upside down. He realized that a character's actual identity doesn't really matter at all. Seriously, whether the hero is a German baker, an Indian prince, or an Arab merchant, the only thing that actually matters is the mathematical function they perform in the story's equation. In this matrix, the hero isn't really a human being. They are just a variable in an ancient narrative algorithm, doing exactly what they are programmed to do to push the story forward. And here it is, the actual algorithm. This is the universal flow of the hero's quest. Pay close attention to this, because it is a super rigid sequence that every single hero, from Baghdad to Chile, has to suffer through. Step 1, a taboo is broken. A human makes a mistake. Step 2, the magical spouse instantly vanishes. Step 3, the hero is forced onto an impossible journey where they have to wear down iron shoes. Step 4, they get magical aid from very specific helpers, like birds or old men. And finally, step 5, the curse is broken and they reunite. It is literally like a video game with fixed levels. You cannot skip to level 5 without beating level 4 first. Let's zoom in on that very first stage, the main catalyst, the broken taboo. This is the spark that sets the whole disaster in motion. Hassan of Basra is explicitly warned, but he just can't resist his curiosity and opens the 40th forbidden door. In the singing, springing lark, the bride breaks her promise and shines a candle on her lion husband, which immediately turns him into a dove for 7 years. In the bird lover, it's the broken glass trap at the window. Structurally speaking, breaking this taboo is the exact trigger for the mathematical function of disappearance. It feels like this sweeping emotional tragedy, but underneath, it's just precise narrative math. So the crucial point is right here, this highly programmed moment of separation. Seek me and your children in the Wak Wak Islands. Those are the chilling final words Hassan's Jinn wife throws at him before she flies away. And it perfectly mirrors the exact same part of the code where cursed husbands vanish in Italian or Romanian folklore. These departures are terrifying, and they leave our human protagonist completely helpless. All their power is stripped away, and they are forced to obey the next line of code in the matrix. Then, the clock starts, and the real torment begins. The impossible journey. This matrix is totally unforgiving and operates on very specific, recurring units of time. First, you get 1 month of weeping in absolute despair. Next, 3 months of wandering and crossing oceans. And then, we hit the terrifying magic number, 7 years. Yes, the hero literally has to put on a pair of iron shoes and walk the earth for 7 full years until those metal shoes are worn paper thin. This is the brutal structural price tag, and you'll find this exact epic timeline in Greek, Arab, and European stories with the exact same severity. So how on earth do they survive this? To breach these supernatural fortresses, the Matrix steps in with a recurring narrative hack, classified under ATU 518. Right when the hero is at their absolute lowest point, they stumble across 2 men, usually brothers, fighting over magical items. We're talking an invisibility cap, distance-covering boots, or a flying carpet. The hero cleverly tricks them and steals the loot. This little structural trick is absolutely mandatory, because without it, there is literally no logical way in this matrix for a mortal human to breach a monster's realm and get their partner back. It's the ultimate cheat code. Which brings us to a final thought that honestly sends a bit of a shiver down my spine. We've just seen how our most ancient, cherished stories from Basra to Romania are all built on this incredibly precise structural matrix. It's a pre-programmed code controlling every single character and event. But the bigger question is this: if the oldest stories passed down by our ancestors operate on this hidden, strict code, are the stories we tell and the lives we live today really any different? Or are we still, without even realizing it, just executing those exact same lines of code from an ancient matrix? Think about that for a while. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you in the next one.